I ran a marathon, but this Apple Watch crashed and I lost it. Hey guys, EDDBUD here. I'm back with an update for you on my marathon attempt from the 11th of October. Thanks for joining me today guys. If it's your first time here, please make sure to hit that subscribe button and click the bell below for notifications of when I launch those new videos. So I completed the marathon in roughly 3 hours 23 minutes, but my joy from hitting that marathon mark was quickly destroyed really by my Apple Watch crashing and me losing the run. It's pretty much transformed from joy and relief from completing the distance to rage and sadness. I use the Apple Watch and the ISmoothRun app, whether it was one or the other or a combination of both that caused it to crash and reboot on completion of the route that I planned out, I don't know, but a little bit more on that later. So I set out at approximately 8:28 AM. The planned route that I had was 2 iterations of that 10-mile test that I normally do on new running shoes. So that's pretty much 265 feet out and back, times 2, then a further 6.5 miles just to get me over the marathon distance. I think that third part was around about 150 feet. So we can look at something around 650 feet of elevation over the course of the 26.5 miles. I went a little over just to make sure that I'd hit the distance. So some reasonable elevation there. It wasn't completely flat. There were some hills, certainly at some elevation on those 2 10-mile sections. The first 5 miles are all uphill, very slowly, steadily. Sadly, due to that watch malfunction, I've had to piece together as much data as I can that was held on the watch, mainly from the Apple Health data. Fortunately, it knew I was doing some activity and I managed to pretty much piece things together and add in a manual entry. Luckily, right before the distance was completed, I did take a look at the watch, so I knew roughly where I was. I had an average pace there of 7:45 per mile, so it's about 4 minutes 46 per kilometre. Up to about mile 16 I was averaging 7 minutes 30 per mile, so about 4 minutes 40 per kilometre at that point. But I fell away a little towards the end, no doubt. I think I started to feel quite fatigued, probably round about mile 18 or 19. That aside, I'm really positive about the effort. 3 hours 23 is superb. I'm really pleased with that. Wasn't far off my target really, and going into mile 20, you know, I had that daunting feeling. Everybody talks about that the race really starts then. I didn't feel too bad really at that point. It wasn't like I wanted it to be over around then, but some mental strength and the promise of pizza got me through to the end. So as I said, adding a manual entry onto my phone actually grabbed a load of the data that Apple had obviously stored from the watch, and I managed to get a few stats. I reckon cadence was about 165 steps per minute, which actually transfers across to the 17-mile long run I did last week, and I think that's probably round about right. Just tried to keep things consistent on that marathon effort, so I wasn't varying too much, and I think I managed that. Obviously my stride length is slightly longer. I have very long legs. People often tell me that my cadence is too low. Well, I'm very tall. I'm about 6'3", but I have really long legs. I'm all legs. Around about 4.27 feet is what I normally see on some of my runs in ISmoothRun in terms of stride length, and that's pretty much what I had here. Heart rate today though is all over the shop, and I think I know why. When I started the run, I had a nasty feeling that the Polar OH1 Plus that I had on my upper arm hadn't connected properly with the Apple Watch, and I was right. As you can see from the graphic on the screen, there's some crazy stuff going on. That's typically what I see when the Apple Watch is using its own heart rate sensor. It's junk really. I mean, it's just less than reliable at the best of times. When I use the OH1, it's always nice and consistent. I don't get these weird flares and these strange kind of results all over the place. You don't get these weird, very quick, rapid increases and decreases. So I'm pretty sure that the heart rate information there is just from the Apple Watch heart rate sensor, and I can't really take any of it into account. Not once on the run did I struggle aerobically. I knew the sort of level of effort that I was putting in. I wasn't struggling with breathing, anything like that. I just kept it nice and consistent, which is why this data just makes no sense to me at all. I can't really use any of it. It's a bit sad actually, but hey, I can be sad about it or I can get over it, right? Certainly round about mile 24, 25, that last mile was pretty tough, I have to say. It was just making it through there. I'd eased off a little bit. It was hard going, but we got there. So what can I take away from all of this? Well, I think there's certainly some areas that I can improve. Core strength perhaps, upper leg strength as well, something I do need to improve. Perhaps ankle flexibility as well, just improving the strength in the ankles. And of course, trying to improve that running efficiency just a little bit. Lots of things there that I can focus on in the weeks to come. So in terms of nutrition, worked out really well. I took a gel round about miles 5, 9.5, 14, and I think it was about 19, maybe 18.5 to 19. I have my Nathan belt with me, so it's got a small pocket and a small water bottle. I had that filled up with some Science and Sport mix, and that was really great having that with me. It doesn't sort of weigh you down too much. It's not so large that you're very conscious that it's there. So I stopped off at my makeshift fuel station, which is basically the front of my house. That was about miles 10, and I think it was a little bit before mile 20. So I grabbed another couple of gels on mile 10. I think I grabbed an extra one on mile 20 just so I had something there if I needed it, and I did. I refilled the bottle, and that took a little time, so I think I probably lost a couple of minutes over the course of those 2 quick stops. God, it's a good thing old Kipchoge doesn't have to do that, isn't it? Can you imagine that, you know, stopping off and having to sort of pour stuff into bottles and grab some gels and things like that. It just meant that I didn't have to carry a load of extra items around, and also I had, you know, phone and things like that available to hand if I needed them. And of course I could keep hydrated as well. It meant I had some reasonable fluids available if I needed them. So shoe choice seemed pretty good. The Hakone version of the Next Percent really did work out well for me. I was very thankful for the cushion come mile 23, 24. Certainly. I'm not sure the Reebok Energy 2s would have worked out quite so well. I did pair these up with some new Adidas socks as well. They're really beautifully cushioned. They ride a little higher, so just above the heel area of the upper on the Next Percent. I've got to be honest though that I rarely thought about shoes during the 26.2 miles. It was more about moving forward, just keeping going. All sorts of thoughts go through your mind actually. It's very interesting. I didn't detect too much swelling or any problems with my foot swelling in this shoe, so I think size wise the 11.5 is perfect. I think that proved it today in the marathon. Not too much damage to report in terms of the outsole. I think I did get a little sloppy on a couple of occasions, but it's looking pretty good. Very little damage at all to the rubber section here, and even the back here, absolutely fine, no issues. Obviously I did run a poll over at the community section of the YouTube channel to see which shoes you thought I should wear for this marathon attempt. Over 1,100 people voted, which is awesome. Thank you for voting. With 15% of the vote, it was the New Balance Fuel Cell RC Elite. The Vaporfly Next Percent was up next with 22% of the vote. Second position was the Saucony Endorphin Pro. I think they had about 25% of the votes. And at the top, it was the Ekiden version of the Next Percent with 36% of the vote. So I certainly think it's still the king of marathon shoes in the eyes of the viewers. Weather was really great. I had about 13 degrees. There was a little bit of sun, so I did wear the shades and also opted for the halo headband. Nice and dry out there, no rain to contend with, so perfect conditions. So what would I have changed over the course of my marathon attempt? Well, there are a couple of things. I certainly would have opted for a backup device if I was going to do this again. I'd certainly perhaps utilise the phone as well and just set that off and leave it. I think even if I did a half marathon, I'd probably do that as well. If I was putting in that level of effort or those higher number of miles. I just don't think I'm going to chance it again with the Apple Watch. It's burnt its bridges now. It's blotted its copybook. Just left a really bad taste in my mouth, and I don't think I want to give it the opportunity to do that again. Viewer and good buddy Kev Burton mentioned to me that even if he lost a park run, you know, it would probably make him cry to lose a marathon like that on your watch or your device. Yeah. So I think I've got every right to feel a little bit upset, but what's it going to achieve? I think I'm pretty much over it now. Although I would comment that if you are going to try and destroy an Apple Watch, using a pair of Vaporfly Next Percents isn't the ideal shoe. The Zoom X is just too cushioned and it did absolutely nothing to the watch. The Zoom X is just too soft. I did momentarily throw the watch into a field which is normally occupied by cows. I was just so frustrated at that point, as you can imagine, before I went and humbly collected it again with my head hung low, realising that it was just a really stupid thing to do. Second thing that I would have done slightly differently is probably opted for the race shorts. I did wear my Nike shorts, which have the kind of cycle shorts, half tights, and the shorts on top, and it was warm. I was really, really warm at one point. I wasn't really benefiting at all from the fact I had dual layers there. So I think I would have just opted for the standard race shorts that I normally wear if I'm just training anyway. I was perhaps a little worried in my mind that if it was too cold out there then I'd get cold, but once I'd started I realised that yeah, I could probably have just worn the standard shorts. So marathon distance in the bag. Let me know in the comments below, what's your marathon personal best? Where did you achieve it? What time did you get? So it looks like new watch time is in order. Please head over to the community section of the YouTube channel. I've got a bit of a poll going there as to what the favourite viewers' running watches are. I've included some of the models that I think might fit my requirements. If there's another model there that you particularly enjoy using, let me know in the comments. There's a few requirements that I've got. I mean, I like listening to music, so it'd be good to have some music storage on there. I'm mainly really just looking for running metrics. I don't do any cycling or rowing or anything like that. Also, I want to pair it with the OH1 Plus from Polar as well, so I can get that heart rate information. I don't know how accurate some of these wrist-based heart rate things are now. The watch I've got is a little older. I don't know if there's been that much of an improvement, if there's that much of an advancement in heart rate information from the wrist. Maps aren't really a big thing. I'm not hugely bothered if the watch has maps or not, but some other data metrics and stuff might be useful in terms of training. Training load, VO2 max estimations, perhaps race estimations as well. Race predictions could be a cool thing. I'm thinking maybe the Garmin 945, possibly. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Musical interlude. I've been back listening to Ocean Colour Scene's album Marching Already from 1997. I can't believe it was out in 1997. 100 Mile High City, Traveller's Tune, and It's a Beautiful Thing are some of the best tracks on this one. You can hear that Paul Weller's had a bit of an influence there. Maybe he's even on some of the tracks, I'm not sure. It wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean, part of Ocean Colour Scene were pretty much Paul Weller's backing band for quite some time. On this album they seem to be exploring different sound effects, perhaps production techniques, and using a little bit of technology here and there. But there's still that very retro sounding vibe. So do go and check that one out, Marching Already by Ocean Colour Scene. Thanks for watching through to the very end of today's video, guys. I very much appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, remember to hit that subscribe button and also click the bell for notifications of when the new videos launch. I know some of you have mentioned that the notifications can be a bit late sometimes, especially if I'm doing a premiere, but it'd be fantastic if you could click that bell. Also, if you want to help the channel out, and it really does help the channel out a huge amount, please give this video a thumbs up like and share it with your running buddies. My name's EDDBUD and I'll be seeing you.